Mock draft time on a Tuesday night. Welcome, everybody. Thanks for joining us here on Twitch tonight to watch us take part in this mock draft with a couple of very special guests. I'm Adam Azer here from CBS Sports. I got Ben Gretsch, Dave Richard, Jamie Eisenberg with me, and two people that you might know, hopefully you know, big names around the industry, and Michelle Magdziuk from the BallBlast podcast. Sounds painful at BallBlastem on Twitter. Michelle, welcome. How you doing?
I'm great. Thank you so much for having me. I'm very excited. Adam, you're in my Scott Fishbowl league, so I'm about to take you down this year.
Well, I drafted Damian Williams, so you're off to a good start.
Yeah.
And with the first pick in the draft, Christian McCaffrey was selected. Anthony, big Jiggly Panda, welcome to the show. How you doing, man?
Great, man. Thanks for having me, guys. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, tell us about yourself.
I've been doing the YouTube scene for quite some time. I think I went full time in like 2016. Been a fantasy football fan for as long as I can remember. Only won a few championships, but keeps people guessing, I guess, right?
Yeah, I guess so. And so you're going to take McCaffrey here, I assume.
I think that's probably the best decision if I can get the draft to pop up here.
Jamie, give him Christian McCaffrey. We have those powers, right?
Yes.
Christian McCaffrey is the pick. And Michelle, you are already lamenting that you have the 8th pick, and it's that question mark spot.
I already don't know if I'm going to go running back or wide receiver. So hard not to go running back, but then are we just falling into that trap this year, going running back no matter what?
We'll see what happens.
I was when I saw the draft order, I picked right in front of you at 7, and it's so curious to see when Michael Thomas goes, because if he's still sitting there at 7, or in your case at 8, it's so hard to pass up on him in a PPR 3 receiver league.
I know.
There we go.
There's 6.
There we go.
The first 5 were predictable. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Jamie.
So I'll take the decision out of your hands, Michelle. I'll take Thomas.
Thank you so much, because I really didn't want to take him, but now I'm deciding between 2 different guys. Oh man, this is full PPR.
Full PPR.
Full PPR, 3 receivers and a flex.
Oh, I'm going weird here. All right. Got Miles Sanders.
Oh, he goes there in all our
drafts. That's
not weird for us.
Yeah. We love him. So would you have taken Clyde Edwards-Helaire or Miles Sanders?
I was thinking about between Henry, but it would have been so hard
You
between
are on deck.
Clyde and Sanders. I still think I'm leaning Sanders a little bit.
All right. I want to welcome everybody. And if you have any questions, if you want to comment on the draft, go for it. I'll do my best to read your questions here. If you have any questions for Anthony or for Michelle or any of us, please fire away. Let's see what else is going on in the draft here. Devontae Adams is the next pick to Frank. Heath is on the clock. Dave, how are you tonight?
I'm chilling. I just made knockoff In-N-Out burgers in my own kitchen.
In-N-Out burger. That's really delicious. How did you do that?
Not as good as In-N-Out does it.
You were out and in.
Yeah, I was out and out, but I'm fat. It was good.
Anthony, tell us your ideal burger.
Ideal burger. Okay. There's this place in Boston that I love. It's called Cobblestone, and they have like this tri-meat blend. It's fantastic. And then throw some like aged cheddar, a fried egg, some onion straws.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't like putting condiments on my burger. I'm a dipper. I don't know maybe it's a Midwest thing. I don't know what's wrong with me, but I like to just dip my burger into condiments. So whatever you want nearby. Some nice garlic aioli,
Very
ketchup,
elaborate fat burger.
Hey man, you asked a question about burgers. I'm going to give you an honest answer. This is serious stuff.
Mouth-watering. Any picks that really stand out, guys? Joe Mixon, Tyreek Hill, Kenyon Drake, Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry going 14th to Shaggy B, who takes Mixon and Henry. Austin Eckler. Anything jump out?
No, I'm curious Michelle's take on Henry, because you said you would have considered him at the 8th spot, right?
I couldn't believe how far he fell. Even if it's PPR, I think that's some serious disrespect right there.
Well, myself and Ben Gretsch, we hate Derrick Henry.
Yeah. Really?
I mean, not hate, obviously, but we're probably the lower 2 on him of our group. I'll let Ben speak for himself, but I'm just concerned with how he performed in the first half versus second half, lack of catches, offensive line change.
The catches are definitely a concern, but if they would just, drop it off to him a little bit more, like do some more dump offs, he's going to just like storm through the defense. I don't know why they don't do it more often, but I'm still super high on Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry is a BallBlast like main guy. We love him so much. You can't watch him and not be excited.
I actually, I was with him at the Pro Bowl, and he was playing catch with some kids after practice. And I was waiting to talk to him. And so, after he was done signing autographs, whatever, and I was like, why don't they throw you the ball more? You're obviously can catch. This little kid proves it.
He definitely could do it. I don't know why they don't do it. Maybe now that Dion Lewis is finally out of there, they'll do it more often.
Anthony, you say you're from the Midwest. Is there a team you follow?
I'm a Browns fan, unfortunately.
Oh, give me your thoughts on Beckham. What do you think?
Man, I don't know that he's in love with being in Cleveland. Not that I blame him, to be totally honest with you, but
hey, now
I'm an Ohioan. I'm allowed to say that.
I lived in Cleveland for a while. I love that city.
Cleveland's a great city. It's just not a great city for football, as I think Odell's learning. Sorry, I'm looking at my list here. It's my pick. I love Juice. I'm a huge Jarvis Landry fan. I love Nick Chubb. I think those guys are going to be the heartbeat. I'm curious to see how long before Keenum comes in, given Stefanski being on the team now. If Baker starts to fail, does Keenum come in?
Wow. That would be interesting. Well, don't take Jarvis Landry here, but...
No, I think I'm going to take Hopkins. Why not?
Yeah, Hopkins, 24th overall in a PPR.
What a slide.
That's pretty good.
I trust Murray.
I think Ben could have gotten DJ Moore in the third round.
Ben doesn't mess around, man. Ben gets his guys.
I probably could have, but I have other receivers that I could also get in the third round that I want to take.
Who would that be?
AJ Brown. It's not AJ Brown. All right, let's see what Anthony takes. DeAndre Hopkins. Who else is he going to take? You going to go quarterback here?
I could take old Patty Mayonnaise.
Patty Man.
You know what? Let's do it. Let's go crazy. It's a mock draft. Let's have some fun.
Dude, he's got McCaffrey, Hopkins, and Mahomes on the same team.
It's not a bad start.
You guys let me pick first.
Football squad. Lamar Jackson goes, damn it. I shouldn't have talked him into taking a quarterback. Wasn't to do it. So maybe that backfired. All right, Gretch, who's that other wide receiver you want?
Well, there's a couple.
Good way to talk us through the process, Ben.
Here, let me tell you what I'm thinking, Silent. I'm going to go Juju here.
Damn it.
I don't have him ranked as my highest receiver, but I'm very high on the Juju bounce back.
I agree.
There's one guy I have ranked higher that I take occasionally. I just felt like not taking right now for whatever reason.
Michelle, you're the Pittsburgh resident. What do you think about Juju and this whole offense? How they're going to perform with Ben back?
For 2020, love Juju. And Dynasty, if you have to keep him long term, we saw him without Ben. He was hurt often, so I don't know how much of that we can account to if he can be an alpha wide receiver. But I think he's Ben's guy. I think he's going to perform very well this year. I think he's great value at his ADP.
Guys, let's read some questions from the audience here on Twitch. From NBA Rigged, why is Clyde Edwards-Helaire higher than Austin Eckler? Who is the better runner?
Clyde.
Who is the better runner?
Hard to say.
I think you can make the case for Eckler as a runner, and you can almost certainly make the case that Eckler as a better and more experienced pass catcher. But he's not in Kansas City. And I think that's half the reason why Edwards-Helaire is getting picked where he's picked. Is because he's in that offense with Andy Reid. About 1 million targets headed his way this year.
Did you say half the reason? It feels like it's about 80%.
No, listen, I think part of it is that Edwards-Helaire is a good running back. He may not be as skilled as Eckler, who's been in the NFL for, 4 seasons coming up. So I think that Andy Reid's presence there and what he does with his running backs when he finds one he loves is why he's a big part of it. Yeah, sure. Probably more than 50%.
Yeah, if he goes anywhere else, we're not drafting him in the first round. I don't care what opportunity he gets.
From The Insanity. Who is the second wide receiver that should be taken off the board?
Devontae.
Tyreek Hill.
All right. So we got 2 votes for Adams, 1 for Hill. Anthony, how about you? Michael Thomas goes. You want a wide receiver? You going Adams? You going Hill? Hopkins? Who's your number 2?
Just for pure volume, probably Adams. Who else is catching balls there? Funchess?
Yeah.
Is that where he went?
He's out. He's like didn't want to.
He opted.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, still, so their wide receiver 2 is who? Us?
Alan Lazard.
Yeah, it's Alan Lazard, but right. That's I think a lot of people are feeling that way. Let's take a look at round 3, guys. Mahomes, Jackson, Juju, Ridley, Allen Robinson, Melvin Gordon, Todd Gurley to Jamie, Adam Thielen to Michelle, and James Conner to Frank. Ben, tell Jamie why he made a bad pick with Todd Gurley.
What? You told me I had to pick one of the running backs in that range on the show yesterday, and I guess earlier today's show, and I said Gurley would be my preferred. I like the receivers over the running backs in this range. I think there's more of a floor for the running backs, but of all these running backs, these older guys that I feel like you're kind of paying for some past production, Gurley's the one that I'm a little bit worried that I'm not going to have enough of. I'll say that.
The thing, and I'll tell you, it's funny that Michelle took Thielen afterwards, because I thought, okay, maybe I'll do a 0 RB approach, and he would have been my other choice. He was the next highest ranked receiver for me. But I think I'm with Ben that there's that group of running backs of Gurley, Carson. Now let me back out. He's
yeah.
Gurley, Carson, Connor, Gordon. Basically 4 guys that kind of go after Aaron Jones, and I think what we end up seeing from them is the biggest question marks that we're probably going to get. And so I look at Gurley and maybe Connor's in that group too. I look at Gurley and there's no competition there. And, maybe it's that I just got finished talking to Matt Ryan 2 weeks ago, and then the guy who covers the team for the Falcons, Matt Tabik, and both of them just talking about what his role could be in the passing game. And so, you go back to what he was 2 years ago, knee injury, we don't really know what the extent of it is, but there's just nobody else there. There's no competition for him. And so if he's healthy, to whatever extent his healthy is at this point, he's only 25 years old, so he's still got a ton of, opportunities to play in his prime. And so if he gets the workload that we're used to seeing from him, and the passing workload comes up a little bit from what we saw last year for Los Angeles by comparison, I think he's going to end up being a pretty good pick.
I'm going to just read another comment here. Gretsch rhymes with catch. Somebody actually said that. What is that all about?
Yes.
So Ben, that's Ben Gretsch, Gretch. Anthony, Michelle, do you think that rhymes with the word catch?
Ben?
So
catch.
If you've got a little bit of a twang, maybe if you say, he catch.
Yeah.
I don't know how else you could make that work.
It's like, I don't understand how anybody could say that, but okay.
Yeah, it's not very fluid.
No.
Adam just loves catch. It's like it rhymes with batch, but for me, it's catch, like Gretsch.
Yeah, well, because I read it. We're giving away a spot in next week's mock draft. I'll tell you about that in just a moment. Let's see if we have any more questions here. Non-PPR, I'm keeping Thomas and Hill. Would you rather have Cortland Sutton in the 8th or Mecole Hardman in the 9th? Sutton, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I'll take Sutton. Yeah. Schrager just got the guy that I had ranked ahead of Juju that I almost took at 303, Mike Evans, who I think is speaking of disrespect, this guy has been nothing but a star at all times, and we're so confident that Tom Brady's not going to be able to throw the ball 15 yards down the field that Evans is now a late 3rd round pick.
I didn't see Evans. He would have been my pick over Thielen. I don't know how I missed him.
Yeah.
But yeah. Mike Evans is being totally disrespected.
That's a total slide to 35.
Yeah.
So I actually had Godwin, right? Did I take Godwin in the 2nd round? Forget. I think I did. But would you take both of them? I wouldn't do that. But
I don't think I could.
I did it last year and it was fantastic. So I would.
Yeah. Last year was great. Chris Towers has been making a case most of the offseason that there's some potential that if, no offseason, Brady's talked a little bit about not understanding the offense, and maybe Brady's skills have just declined enough. He's well over 40 now. There's some potential that this offense is not as good for fantasy as we're hoping. And taking both of those guys with the first 3 picks, you'd really be hoping that Brady doesn't decline at all.
Wide receiver starting to get a little thin, huh? We had quite a run there in round 2 and into round 3.
First time I drafted this guy.
I'm going to take Jonathan Taylor before Gratch.
Oh, DJ Chark going early. Ooh, that hurts.
Oh my goodness.
I love DJ Chark.
Oh my goodness, he's my favorite. I definitely thought I could get him in the 5th. I only took Fournette because he should not be falling to the 4th round.
Really?
He's a top 10 running back when he plays. Always.
Well, that's I think that's the key deciding thing there, isn't it, when he plays?
But he did last year, so I don't know. I think we saw him put it together. I know his targets are going to go down, but he could still lose a ton of them. He wasn't getting touchdowns last year. We have to expect that go up to the average for how many touches he sees. I think we're disrespecting Fournette a little bit.
I had him last year, and he did plenty for me. Yeah, he was a great pickup.
He was a nice surprise, just given the passing downs work. I just worry with Thompson there, where does the 100 targets come down to? Obviously, Michelle, you're right. He's not going to score 3 touchdowns. I mean, that just seems impossible again. But the one thing you got to worry about is it the entire franchise just disenfranchised with him? Trying to trade him, not picking up the option. Is this going to be any sort of struggle? And it's okay. I know there's not a lot of talent behind him, but do we see more Reichel Armstead? Do we see maybe a little bit more work in the run game for Chris Thompson?
I'll say Armstead doesn't scare me because he was the worst running back at pass protection last year by far. I can't believe how bad he was. So unless he jumps and just gets amazing in that area, he's not going to see the field often.
I would think more 1st and 2nd down. I don't think if Thompson's healthy, then he's playing on passing down as well.
Yeah, we'll see how long Chris Thompson can stay healthy because that could really hurt Fournette. I'm not even a Fournette fan. I don't know why all of a sudden this offseason I'm like Fournette, but I think he's just going way too late.
I think that's right for how he was used last year. I think my concern with him is he's in the last year of the deal. They try to trade him, and there's this possibility. I think that halfway through the year they're out of it, and they basically just give up on him, either bench him or they find an in-season trade or something. I think there's an outside chance he gets benched in week 8.
Don't you think since they don't want him in the future, that they can be let's give this guy 350 touches because we don't need you for a decade.
But if he's bad, then they might. If the team is bad, then they might decide that they don't even need to do that because they just want to move forward and see what they have with Armstead and all that.
Okay.
Right. It's like the DeMarco Murray year in Dallas. Just run him into the ground and then kick him to the curb.
You guys are kind of making me regret not taking McLaurin or Chark because all my favorite wide receivers are coming off the board.
Yeah, that was a furious run and that's what happens in our drafts. The running backs go early. You get 2 quarterbacks in the 3rd round every time we do a draft. And then round 3 and 4 is pretty much dominated, I'd say, by wide receivers and some really good ones and some really exciting ones. And we might be just about out of them, unfortunately. But you know what? Who didn't take a wide receiver was Anthony. He took Zach Ertz and Devin Singletary at the turn. And I feel like based on the amount of time it took you to make the Singletary pick, that you just didn't feel great about it. Am I right on that, or a misreading?
Yeah, I was really leaning towards more of a wide receiver, but the closest name that really popped out because I overlooked Metcalf was Diggs. And I don't know. I've always been, especially in PPR, someone that leans towards a runner, especially if they can catch the ball. I feel like Singletary is someone that didn't get the attention last year that he needed. And hopefully with Diggs being there, it opens up the option for them to run a little bit more and not always play from behind. But I could be totally reaching. We'll see.
Run more with Zach Moss.
I'll take
you
whatever.
You love Zach Moss, don't you?
I do. Zach Moss is my man.
Are you feeling about rookies in general this year?
The rookies, they're going to scare me, but I think some of them are in the position where they can win out because they don't have great competition. So as much as I don't see what everyone else sees in Cam Akers, I do think he has a good opportunity. I really like Darrell Henderson, but he's going to have the opportunity to fight for that spot. And then I think Zach Moss is in that same opportunity where Devin Singletary is great, but he's been one of the worst receiving backs from college. And he was last year as well in efficiency. So, and I know Zach Moss is fantastic in the receiving game. So I do think he's going to get all the goal line carries. He can start to steal those receiving work. And I love Moss so much.
Interesting. Yeah. I like Singletary, but I do need to definitely consider how inefficient he was in the passing game.
He was really bad in yards per route run, everything. I dig that take, Michelle. I took him in Moss in like the Scott Fish Bowl, and I've taken him in a few industry leagues like that. I think I don't usually get him in our drafts here at CBS, but I definitely like that take.
Well, now you guys have to get that take out of your mind and let me get him in this.
You better do it soon.
Well, I slept on wide receivers, so I'll be taking wide receivers the rest of the draft.
Oh, well, who are you going to take right now? You're on the clock.
Oh, no. All right. Go with the boring guy or the fun guy?
Fun.
I'm going with fun. All right, I'm going with fun. This might be a little
early. Or the Atom. That's what we
nice.
call it. Deontay Johnson.
That's definitely a Pittsburgh fan pick.
It was between him and Boyd, and I'm going to have more fun with Deontay on my team.
Absolutely.
What do you think about him? Because obviously you like the offense to bounce back, and so he's somewhat polarizing.
He's very good. His average depth of target definitely scares me, and I'm hoping that has to do more with Duck Hodges and Mason Rudolph than it does with Deontay, because if his average depth of target stays where it did last year, he's going to need 120 plus targets to be good for fantasy or solid for fantasy, and I don't think he's going to see that. But I think that depth of target can go up with Ben. He is one of the best separators in the league already as a rookie. His route running was fantastic. I'm very excited about him. I call him AB Light. I loved watching him last year as a rookie.
Close the season playing really well too, so that's the hope.
Yeah.
Carries over this year. Yeah.
Yep.
All right.
Oh,
Let's get you know what? It's a mock draft. I'm gonna go with the fun pick now. I really want
Julian Edelman.
Some Kyler Murray this year. Yeah, Kyler Murray.
Michelle, you also took Gallup a little sooner than we see. What's your take on him?
I don't understand the Gallup ADP, so I'll take him anywhere and from the 5th round on and wherever I feel like I need to take him. And right there, if I lost on him as my wide receiver 2, I would have been pretty upset with how long I waited for that. I don't understand his ADP. All he does is perform. I have him actually as a top 20 wide receiver this year. I think CeeDee Lamb can come in and be a really good rookie and still not take as many opportunities that Randall Cobb took last year. Randall Cobb saw 83 targets. That would be a really great year for a rookie without an actual offseason. I think they pass just as much. They have the same offensive coordinator. I'm all in on Gallup for redraft.
By the way, one subscriber is going to be in our mock draft on Tuesday. Subscribe and comment now to be eligible, and we're going to pick someone. So again, just subscribe and comment now to be eligible to be in our mock draft next week. So we appreciate you supporting us, and we'd love to mock with you.
Gotta do it.
Are you still taking Lamb over Gallup?
Landry, there you go.
There he is. I had to do it.
There you go. Nice. He wants Zach Moss. You might want to take him. I don't know. Seems a little early.
This is very early. He's normally goes in like the 10th.
Yeah, no, it's too early. I just feel like someone's going to take him. But
Dave, are you still taking Lamb over Gallup?
No, can't do it anymore. Gallup over Lamb.
But you're still down on Gallup, right?
That sounds like
I don't like him as a top 24 receiver.
Really?
There were two. He did some really great. He made some great plays last year, but he also had a bad catch rate. Was among the league leaders in drops, and now they add Lamb. Jarwin's going to step up. Just more of a fight for targets in that offense. I don't.
Jarwin's not going to step up.
Upside.
Jarwin is
okay.
No, I'm sorry. He totally could, but I feel like Jarwin is totally fool's gold. Like I don't get the Jarwin.
You know who might be the biggest fool's gold of all in that offense, Michelle, is Cooper. Because he just goes through these, he's streaky. Where like 1 week he's amazing, and then maybe he keeps it up for another week, and then it's downhill from there. Adams talked about how he seems to be, I don't know what the opposite of matchup proof is.
Oh, he gets shut down by the best.
Yeah, he gets crushed.
Yeah.
And he's going to face a lot of good corners this year, and the Cowboys don't have to force him the football. So that could end up happening too. I think he's probably the one that I've got him ranked the highest, and I don't think I really love it, but there's no way I'm going to take Gallup ahead of Cooper or Lamb ahead of Cooper or Jarwin ahead of Cooper or anything like that. But I kind of don't want to have Cooper on my team unless he's, sitting there in round 5.5 and I need a receiver.
Cooper is one of those guys that will probably end top 12 just because he has those 45-point games, but then he really hurts you in the other weeks. At the end, it's going to look great, but throughout it, I don't know how good it's going to feel.
There's a lot of players who are like that.
Yeah.
Struggling here. I'm sorry.
Oh, it's all right. Let me throw to a question here from Twitch. I don't know how. TEWU Denick 88. Dave, why do you like Ingram and Singletary more than Leonard Fournette?
Because I think Leonard Fournette, and again, this is just going back to what we just talked about with Fournette, I think he's in trouble to see the type of workload that he saw last year. New offensive coordinator in Jacksonville. He brings his own curated pass-catching running back with him in Chris Thompson. The team tried to trade Fournette. They've got a running back that they drafted that they might like to use on rushing downs in Rock Armstead. I don't know what to make of Fournette in 2020. Is he going to get 250 carries and 40 catches and see that touchdown number go up? It's possible. But I also think it's possible that if he doesn't get hurt first, he ends up getting benched or shoved into a minimal role, and you're going to kick yourself for taking him early. I almost hope that Fournette ends up getting traded. I want to see him on a different team where he can be a lead back again for somebody else, maybe a playoff contending team that needs help at running back. Right now, there isn't one, but injuries happen.
All right. We got a question here from Jay the Centipede. Who else is in here only because of Panda? Ouch. Ouch. Well,
That'll be a pretty small number.
I hope we brought some new people here. We're really thrilled to have our two guests today. You guys are doing great. So what'd you end up doing there, Panda?
Man, I was really struggling with that second pick. I just went with old Marvin Jones Jr. Guy's got freakish hands. He can sing really well. I was torn between actually taking Darren Waller. I mean, he would be more of a flex position for me, but I don't know what kind of target share he's going to see this year, but he was my top waiver pickup last year. I don't know how he slipped through the cracks. I guess nobody watched Hard Knocks, but he was a great option. I'm struggling with a 3 wide receiver league. I'm usually used to a 2 receiver, or maybe I got myself mixed up. I don't know. I'm struggling here. All the good receivers are disappearing so quickly. I was torn between him and Watkins. Anybody on the Chiefs seems like a good pick, but I think
Marvin Jones is a perfectly fine
rose
pick.
tinted glasses.
Marvin Jones, basically, every year he's been in Detroit, he's been on pace for right around 110 targets. If you get 110 targets in that offense, 7th round is really not bad. And he catches touchdowns. So seems like a good pick. What else we got in this round? Any picks stand out? Julian Edelman, DeAndre Swift, Brandon Cooks, Russell Wilson to Gratch. Jamie's on deck. What are you going to do, Jamie?
I'm going to wait to see what Tommy Tran does, but I'm either going to take probably a running back here, either Tariq Cohen, just because I think he doesn't get enough respect in PPR for what he does, or J.K. Dobbins, one of the two. So, I have 3 backs already, so sitting on Dobbins, I don't need to play him. If he hits, then that's a league-winning type of player.
Why not? No, not really feeling the wide receivers here? Because you only have 2.
No.
Okay.
Not now.
I took 5 receivers in a row. I just realized.
What are your running backs looking like?
Kamara. That's it.
I
just took Wilson in the 7th. We're going pretty thin at RB2 on this team, but I like my receivers.
Michelle, how important is getting one of the top 6 quarterbacks? They're not available anymore, so.
Not at all important. I haven't even looked at the quarterback. That's why we were talking about earlier. Superflex kind of makes that a little bit more fun. So I don't know what to do here. So I think I'm just going to go with my dude to make sure I don't miss on him. And I'm going to reach. I mean, 7th round, that's pretty early.
I was so sneaky because when I told Anthony to take Zach Moss, like kind of joking, you were like, no, it's too early. It was around 10. And here you are taking him in round 7.
Because there's no one else really I loved on the board. I thought about Darren Waller. I don't know. There's so many tight ends I'm cool with. So I just was like, never mind. I'm just going to take my running back.
Who's a late round tight end that you like to target?
I'm going to make
Obviously
the mistake again. I'm going to go with the mistake from last year with Chris Herndon. I'm liking him again this year.
I think Ben Gratch would support that.
I think when we're looking at tight ends that have the possibility of breaking out, you need an offense that is lacking receivers. That's why I don't think Blake Jarwin is a thing. Like, I don't think he's going to break out. Normally breakout tight ends are when they need somebody. So that's Chris Herndon. I mean, I love me some Mims. some Denzel Mims, but he's a rookie. Like, how long will it take for him to come on? So I think Chris Herndon can see plenty of targets this year.
What an interesting take. I don't think we've ever said that, that wide receivers that break out or tight ends that break out are on teams that need them in the passing game. And you're right. I mean, he's a fourth option, maybe the third option, but I don't get Jamie's too high on Blake Jarwin.
I mean, there's a clear path to targets there, though. So,
yeah, but you're like, he's going to finish top 12. Great, but he's not going to break out.
But you don't know that, though.
I know. The concentration of the offense matters as well. And I talked about this recently when we did the tight end pod, but the Cowboys played a ton of 11 personnel last year. All their top 3 receivers and Witten got 83 or more targets. There's 3 teams that didn't even have a single player that got more than 85 targets. So that's a really concentrated, high volume passing attack. Now, if they don't throw as much as they did last year, which was an uptick for them, then that could be a problem. But if they still throw plenty, I think Jarwin will be out there running plenty of routes just because they don't really rotate personnel a ton. It's just a really concentrated offense. So I'm not quite as concerned with him, although I agree with Michelle's point in general.
Sorry, guys, I'm on the clock. Someone took Tyler Higbee from me.
That would be me.
Dave, I didn't even have to look.
Yeah, I'm trying to take Higbee in every draft.
All right, I'm going with someone I loved last year. And even though Stephon Diggs is there, I still think John Brown can do it for my fantasy team. He should be more open now.
I wanted that.
Yeah. John Brown was fantastic last year.
Sure, those last 2 picks by Michelle really not good for Anthony's team. Let's see if we have any more questions here. D West 9 Cubs. David Njoku.
What's up, David?
Sneaky good this year. Ooh, I don't know. Not with Hooper there.
He's the only reason he's on the Browns because nobody else wanted to pick him up, and that's coming from a Browns fan. He wanted traded. Nobody showed interest, it seems. And now he's like, hey, I'm all in. Now.
There's been a couple of beats that have said some positive things about him. Like they were curious why he wanted to get traded because it sounds like Stefanski wants to bring that 2 tight end offense over, and apparently they have some stuff planned for Njoku. So we'll see.
He needs to better his blocking because he's got hands like cinder blocks. So as long as he can't catch the ball, he needs to find himself some use, at least in the blocking game. And it doesn't seem like he wants to get hit.
Yeah, he's a hell of an athlete, but not a hell of a football player.
No, he's better off being like a power forward somewhere.
Yep.
I don't really like a lot of that. Can we stop drafting, Jamie? I don't really like anyone anymore.
We don't like you. We don't like you, but we're still doing the Twitch stream.
The wide receivers really got rough.
Yeah, they did. They dried up
quite
very quickly. I've never been so
There's
mad
that Gibson pick.
Couldn't get Marlon Mack. Antonio Gibson. He's so interesting. Somebody in the Twitch chat room asked what his upside is, Antonio Gibson.
Dave has him for 170 catches.
No, only 165.
That'd be a record.
Congratulations to Lord Brentley. You are joining us in the mock draft next week. And thank you for subscribing and thank you for watching and being a part of this on this Tuesday night. Henry Ruggs off the board. We're going to see the rookie wide receivers come off the board now. All right, Anthony, you got 2 picks. What do we got?
Let's see here. I think I need to go running back again. I like to have some depth. I've only got 2, actually. I need more depth. You know what? I'm going to go with this pick. I get this guy every year. I think he's great.
Philip Lindsay.
Big Philip Lindsay fan.
He was very confident in meeting with the media today, saying that he's going to continue to do his thing, even though Melvin Gordon's there.
I still think he will. The kid's a freak. He really is. Let's see what else.
Great story, too.
Yeah, local kid, stayed nearby, got the job, came out of nowhere. That rookie season, I picked him up on the waiver wire like week 4 or 5.
Yeah.
He ended up being my solid RB2 the rest of the year.
Lived with his parents his first 2 years in the NFL.
That's good depth. I was kind of hoping that the Giuseppe kid for the Browns last year would have gotten the 53-man cut. That sort of miracle story there too.
Mm-hmm.
You know, let's just go with this pick now. I wanted him earlier.
All right, there you go. Sammy Watkins. So you like him better than Mccoy Hardman?
I don't know. I feel like, especially because we were talking about the whole COVID thing and stuff like that. Do we prefer a veteran presence right now over? Because Mccoy wasn't really much of a factor last year until he got a a groove going, or until Mahomes got his groove going. Because Mahomes said he didn't know how to read defense till halfway through the season, right? That freaks me out. Not in the sense of like he's going to be bad. It's just like how good can he be?
Yeah. That was one of the funniest storylines of last season. Absolutely.
And he's like, I didn't know what I was reading. I didn't know how to read defenses till like week 8.
Well, we're talking about I'm sorry, I was doing my draft pick. We're talking about the Chiefs guys. I mean, Watkins was so good in the playoffs, and Hardman really just like didn't
show up.
Yeah, like whenever Tyreek Hill was healthy, he just didn't do anything.
Yeah, Watkins seems to go a lot later in drafts, but it's confused me all offseason. We've talked about it a little bit on the pod, but I don't understand why he goes so late.
Those picks were crushing.
Adam, you just stole my heart.
With Darrell Henderson.
Yes, I even was thinking that I could hold off from not taking him even here. I thought I could get him with my next pick.
He wasn't making it to you.
Yeah,
man.
you know what? That was for Anthony because you took Zach Moss and John Brown from him. So I was like, I'm gonna get
Zach Moss and Darrell Henderson will be on basically every single one of my rosters.
You know, when you're getting them late, it's a great idea.
Yeah,
they've got a lot of good upside.
Oh yeah, if they were going early. If they were going early, it would be different. But they're going so late, they have so much upside. And I don't know why we're automatically giving Cam Akers the job in LA. I don't understand that. I think Henderson will have his chance to play and to show what he can do. And he doesn't have to be the lead back. He's electric. I know like last year, maybe we didn't see it totally, but when he had the ball in his hands, he was actually pretty good.
He had some outstanding moments, but he also had a lot of moments where I just felt like he couldn't read holes. Like he was just moving too fast.
Yeah.
He just like bumped into his offensive lineman.
Too fast.
Then he's tackled.
That's the problem. He's got so much speed. Let me read a few questions from.
It's not that, Adam. It's that he didn't. He just never mind.
Oh, thank you for clarifying. DJ Chark or Terry McLaurin?
Oh, Stracker.
I have him back to back, but I have McLaurin one spot higher.
Same.
Sorry about that, Dave. I had to take Jordan Howard there.
Yeah, no, you didn't.
Dak Prescott or Russell Wilson?
I have Wilson higher.
I'm gonna say Russell.
I would go Dak.
Dak's the smarter pick. But
when is the right time to draft handcuffs like Edmonds, Pollard, Hunt, and Madison?
Never.
How about right now at the 9-10 turn?
Yeah, I was between Madison and Henderson. I can't imagine Madison's going to make it back to me, but
I said never. I thought you meant if you had drafted the starter, but you just meant broadly, right?
Yeah, some people like Ben and Jacob Gibbs, who's drafting with us, some people like taking those handcuff running backs when they don't have the starter.
That's the way you should do it.
Yeah, I don't really agree with that.
Why?
I think you could do both.
Why would you not want to lock up 2 backfields if the starter and somebody else's team gets hurt?
Because you might not be.
Up a backup who might be completely useless.
I mean, clearly there are examples. Obviously, Pollard and Edmonds and Madison are the 3 that stand out. But there's other situations where you could take somebody like Darrington Evans. You don't have to take Darrington Evans if you draft Derrick Henry. But if Henry goes down, then Evans can be a star.
Yeah, no, I get that. But you also you lock up a backfield by taking the handcuff to the running back that you already have on your team. You're not locking up a backfield by taking Darrington Evans if you don't have Derrick Henry. And
I think about it like this, Adam.
Last point. A lot of times an injury happens and the scenario is not exactly what we thought it would be. The guy that we thought was going to get all the work, it doesn't always work out like that. I feel like James Starks like 4 or 5 years ago was this massive fab spending spree in the middle of the season and he was useless or really bad or what. Like, I don't know. It's not a certainty. So, there's risk to it for sure.
No. And last year's version of James Starks was Ty Johnson in Detroit. He was terrible. Mm-hmm. But the way I think about the insurance policy thing is if I think the number 2 running back is almost as talented as the lead running back, and I don't want to bother with the whole waiver wire thing, hoping that I get him off waivers or spending the fab for him, or if someone like Ben or Jamie draft my insurance policy, then I've got to make a trade to get him, or I'm stuck with one of the other running backs that I have on my bench. And maybe I did a really good job drafting other running backs early in the draft, and I don't care that I don't have the insurance policy, but I'm lazy. And I want to make sure that I've got the running back who I think could contribute almost 75% of what the starter can do locked on my bench already. So
yeah, but there's like 4 of those guys though.
Right, that's it though. There's not a lot of them.
Right. I mean, we're talking Madison, Pollard,
if I draft
Edmonds.
McCaffrey, I'm not running to get the running back behind him in Carolina because that dude's not even going to get 40% of what McCaffrey can do.
Right.
Same thing in New York with Saquon. So those types of insurance policies, yeah, you don't want to touch them. But the ones who have a legitimate potential star behind them, who would theoretically see a lot of work, I think it's worth it with a late pick.
Yeah, no, it's definitely worth it. It's just the question is it more worth it to take that player if you have the starter or if you don't have the starter? I don't really know there's a right answer there. It's
all going to come down to luck. If you take Cook, Dalvin Cook, and he stays healthy, and then you grab Tony Pollard and Zeke gets hurt, then you hit the lottery. But if it's the opposite way, then you're going to be hurting. I think.
Yeah, but it's a higher variance thing then, right? Because like you said, if it's the opposite way, then okay, you get last. I think handcuffing your running backs is a surefire way to finish in like 5th place or 4th place if you do well with the rest of your draft. But I want the strategies that are going to help me finish first or last, frankly.
I love it. I always say go. Yeah, I always say go big.
Very Ricky Bobby of you.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm all for that too, Ben, but we're talking about a pick in round 10. I don't know if anybody that I'm drafting in round 10 is going to end up being the difference between me finishing in 5th and 1st.
Okay.
They're all been taken. Edmund's been taken.
Yeah.
He's Madison. Jamie took Madison. I was like, oh, maybe Madison is going to get back to me, but nope. Let's go back to the questions here. Silhouette Gaming. Thoughts on Jerick McKinnon this year? I liked him a lot with Minnesota.
Let's take the Washington football team starting running back.
That's just McKinnon is getting a bunch of buzz. He hasn't played in 2 years. And it could very well just be like camp coach speak, whatever, but they're talking about him a lot. Like they're saying a lot of positive things about him. There was another report today about his like their first few practices that he's looking good running routes and things. So it wouldn't be that surprising.
Think about this receiving core right now. I mean, we don't know when Deebo Samuel is going to be ready. I'm curious when we're done talking about McKinnon, Michelle, if you give us your take on Deebo he took, but we don't know when he's going to be ready. Kendrick Bourne and Jalen Hurd, Hurd may have something. Kendrick Bourne just seems like a guy to me. Brandon Ayuk has got a ton of potential, but he's still a rookie with no offseason. And so if you're Kyle Shanahan, is one of the most creative play callers that we've ever seen, it can't just be George Kittle catching everything. So, McKinnon may have a different role than we know. He could be, used almost as a receiver, especially if they're going to play Coleman and Mostert as much as we expect. So, we'll find out.
Auto pick.
Oh no. Back that up.
We got to back that up.
That's fine. I actually wanted the Steelers. That works.
Okay,
all right.
I was clicking on them. My bad.
All right. So I'll take him again for you.
Elite defense, 121st overall.
So, Michelle, how are you approaching the 49ers receiving core there?
So, I'm not even a massive Deebo Samuel fan in fantasy. I think he's a great NFL wide receiver. I think he's going to be fantastic for the 49ers for probably the next 10 years. For fantasy, I brought up average depth of target earlier. That's just a big thing for me. And it was too low last year. And his yards after reception were so high, those have to come down. So I think his targets have to go way up for him to improve from last year. But now that he's had the injury, his ADP has dropped so far. And I think it all depends on how you draft. And in my draft today, I kind of went light on wide receivers. So I didn't just need a trustworthy guy that I could plug and play, that might get me 10 points. I want a guy that could actually break out. And I think that's Deebo once he gets healthy again. So I kind of went with the chance there because I need that type of wide receiver later on here.
Makes sense.
I dig it. I also saw you take TJ Hawkinson. Mm-hmm. Fairly early, compared to where we usually take him, because in our drafts, sometimes he goes so late, and he
goes undrafted most of the time.
Oh,
what's that?
Okay.
I was actually going to ask about that because you were having the conversation about teams needing tight ends to come up when they need them, and last year he had shines of early Gronk, and then they gave him 3 targets a game.
Yeah, he definitely struggled after that game one against Arizona. I think we all know that tight ends take a second to acclimate to the NFL. And we all were calling him Baby Gronk before this season started. I think he's super talented. And I do think he can see way more targets this year. And I did bring up that tight ends to break out. They're normally in offenses that need receivers. And I love Kenny Golladay more than anything. Marvin Jones is still great. But they don't really have a great wide receiver 3. We'll see how the running backs do in that backfield. But Kerryon Johnson has kind of been a disappointment. We'll see if Swift can come together quickly. I think there's plenty of room there for Hawkinson to break out.
So
I agree.
Golden Tate was just taken. How do you feel about the? Oh, you're on the clock. I was going to ask you how you feel about the Giants wide receivers, but
Golden Tate was going to be my pick, so I'm kind of upset.
I was saying he goes late in our drafts, but I think it's wrong. I think where you took him is right. And I was bummed because I wanted to get him like in the next time around. I ended up taking Gesicki, but Hawkinson's going pretty high in some of the higher stakes leagues that I've been monitoring some ADP. And I think where you took him is a pretty fair spot to get him. It's smart.
And it all comes down to knowing your league mates, right? So I didn't know if you all were going to take him a bit earlier. I wanted to make sure I got him because at that point, all of the other tight ends were gone that I felt pretty confident in. And Hawkinson was that last tier there. And then it would have just came down to, just kind of blindly shooting a dart and trying to hit with like a Herndon later on.
All right, Dave, you're about to be on the clock. You're in the hole. You have Kenyon Drake and Ronald Jones, Tyreek Hill, Cooper Kupp, and Tyler Lockett. Nice. Tyler Higbee at tight end. Darius Slayton at flex. You also have Mark Ingram you could throw in at flex. You have a second tight end in Rob Gronkowski, and you have Chase Edmonds. Don't have a quarterback, though. And now we just saw Drew Brees get taken by Michelle. We saw Frank take Carson Wentz. Is that where you're going? You going quarterback here?
I am going quarterback. I can safely, unless Ben Schrager does something ridiculous now, but at the start of round 11, all in a row, Jamie, Michelle, Frank, Heath, they all needed quarterbacks. There were 3 left that I really liked. Breeze was one of them. Brady was one of them. Matt Ryan was one of them. I was hoping one of the 3 would slip. Bless you, Jamie, for taking Steven Sims instead of a quarterback. You're going to get one in the next round anyway. And bless you, Frank, for taking Carson Wentz, who I do like, but I think I like the other quarterbacks a little bit more. Damn you, Michelle, for taking Drew Brees. He was my favorite of the bunch. And now Heath goes ahead and takes Tom Brady. And as long as Ben doesn't do anything goofy, I'll get Matt Ryan. And
it looks like that was an auto pick, though. So maybe Heath takes Matt Ryan.
We're just going to let it go.
Then I'll end up, I don't care which one it is between Brady and Ryan. Round 11 to take either one of them would be awesome.
Ben, you need a backup for Dak Prescott. Oh, you should take Matt Ryan.
now, I don't know. I don't know what the hell I'm going to do with my other pick here. My next highest rated player is Hooper. Yeah, I know. He's
do not take a third tight end.
I am not going to take a third tight end. That would be kind of dumb. But this week on the podcast we talked about Emmanuel Sanders. He's an interesting guy, but I think I can find a receiver kind of like him with my next pick. And my highest rated running back
on the waiver wire.
My highest rated running back left is DeAndre Washington. I'm going to take him. So this is me taking somebody else's insurance policy at running back. If Edward Zillaire isn't ready, or if he is not the guy that we thought he was, I think this is the next best running back in Kansas City. I don't think he'll actually be an every down player, but I think he's got some decent talent and he'll be on the field a decent amount. So
Dave, I'm going to take your insurance policy right here.
My insurance policy. Oh, you can have him. Not the insurance policy that I'm looking for in Tampa Bay.
Yeah, Michelle, what do you think about the Bucs running backs?
I'm not drafting any of them. If I'm going to talk about the most talented player, I think it's Keyshawn Vaughn, but I don't actually think he sees much time this year. Ronald Jones, cool. He's the lead back. I mean, I think we all knew this and everyone acted like, when Arian said that, but he was the lead back last year and he wasn't good for fantasy. So LaShawn McCoy is going to steal snaps. I think this was a terrible news for any Ronald Jones fans that LaShawn McCoy signed because you don't know if the rookie was going to see time or not. And now you know McCoy's going to steal time. And he's a great pass protector. Ronald Jones is one of the worst in the league. He was bottom 4 last year. We'll see if he can get better in that area. If not, he's not going to see much time with Brady.
How is it so hard? I feel like I could do it fairly.
Are you kidding? Are you kidding?
And it's someone's way. How difficult is that?
We have to set this up somehow. We have to get like a drill set up with some 250-pound blitzing linebacker and see Adam step up and take that hit.
What? Well, can we use like Dave? Can you be the linebacker and I'll try to block?
Well, I mean, do you want the linebacker to get there in like 4 or 5 seconds, or do you want the linebacker to get there in about a minute and a half? Because I can get there in a minute and a half, but I'm not going to get there. You will be able to probably get a hand on me if I'm coming around the edge. But if the pass rusher is someone like Heath or Gretsch, and I guess Jamie too, you're in trouble. They're going to get there fast. They're going to blow right past you.
All right.
It's very hard, Adam. There's a reason why nearly every single rookie running back does not step into that role right away when they get into the NFL. There's a reason why it takes players like Ronald Jones
isn't a rookie. He
3 years
by now.
You know what? This was his first offseason where he actually worked on his pass protection.
But shouldn't that tell you something about him?
What the hell?
What was he doing last year? Like, why
That's not a question I can answer. That's a question Bruce Arians should answer.
Well, I think he does. He does answer it. He says he's the starter, and then 3 games in, he's like, you're not that good.
Yeah, I know. And now LaShawn McCoy's there. And yes, LaShawn McCoy is absolutely going to take a lot of those snaps in passing situations. But they're going to need to run the ball at some point, and Ronald Jones is the best guy for it.
Is he? Yeah. I think he might get the first chance at it. If Vaughn gets in that game and he can show what he can do, I think he's a better talent than Ronald Jones.
Okay.
Michelle, we were getting along so well, but
you don't agree.
To go and dog Ronald Jones.
I'm not a big Ronald Jones fan. I mean, I think if you've ever seen my Twitter, Ronald Jones is not. He came at me because of a tweet I had. It was not a mean tweet to him. I was just kind of making fun of workout videos because they just drive me crazy. He caught like a pass 5 yards away and everyone was freaking out. So I just kind of made fun of it. Right. And then he retweeted me and he had Tampa Bay fans coming at me hard.
Really?
they were very mad. I was like, whatever, it's fine. If you can't beat out Peyton Barber for 2 years.
The thing is, like, I don't understand. Bruce Arians messed up. I'm sorry to say it. He messed up. Like, they messed up in Buffalo. They gave Frank Gore way too much work. They messed up in Tampa Bay. They gave Peyton Barber way too much work. I'm sure there's a lot behind the scenes there that I don't know. But in those,
I can tell you exactly what it is.
They had a clearly inferior running back getting too many carries, and it did not help the offense at all. And I'm not the only one to say that, by the way. I mean, I read that criticism about Sean McDermott that he just, for whatever reason, was too in love with Frank Gore, and it's true. And Bruce
because these veteran guys, they do the right thing.
It's a matter of trust.
Good.
Right. It's not a matter of who's the more talented, because clearly Devin Singletary and Ronald Jones are more talented than Peyton Barber and Frank Gore in those situations. But it's like the running back coach, Randy Jordan, comes out in after they get rid of Darius Geis. And what's the thing he said about Peyton Barber? It's the thing that what we do for fantasy, we hate to hear, but he says Peyton Barber is a pro's pro. So he stinks, right? But he knows to line up to the left when the quarterback goes to the right. He knows that this linebacker is coming this way and to step in front of him and not get trucked. And so there are certain things that he does that makes him valuable to staying on the field. But when he gets the ball in his hands, he can't go more than 2 yards before falling down. You know, so it's like Pete Prisco used to say, Toby Gerhart turns a 4-yard carry into a 2-yard carry. You know, so it's one of those things where these guys know what they're doing. They're smart about it. Sorry, Anthony, I'll back that up for you. But
yeah, you're good. You're on a roll, man. I'm just letting you go.
they just do what they're supposed to do, and it drives us crazy. So Ronald Jones should have been playing more than Peyton Barber, but will Ronald Jones play more than Keyshawn Vaughn and LaShawn McCoy? Because McCoy is going to do all the right things. He has a lot of sacks since 2016.
Yeah, I mean, I get that, but don't give him 150 carries. You know, like, yeah, get these guys on the field, but Ronald Jones should have had a lot more carries than Peyton Barber. I don't really understand why. And then the whole goal line thing is just so frustrating. Well, like, Ronald Jones is incapable of running the ball 1 yard straight into the end zone. You have to give that to Peyton Barber. You have to give that to Frank Gore. Frank Gore was terrible. All right, anyway.
Well, Nick Chubb's a great running back. How did he do at the goal line, Mr. Nick Chubb stat of your favorite stat of all time?
What does that have to do with what I was saying?
Why am I on autopilot now?
It was really bad. Are we keeping these picks or what?
My autopilot got turned on and it gave me 2 tight ends. I'd prefer not to.
Back it up.
There you go, Anthony.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Let me read some questions from the
Jared Cook and Austin Hooper. Not really the turn you were looking for, I don't think.
Non-PPR.
I don't know anybody in the world that's looking for that turn.
All right, come on. Let me read these real quick, guys. Non-PPR: Jacobs, Kamara, Edwards, Zillaire, Mixon, Sanders, or Aaron Jones. Kamara.
Of course.
Come here.
Yeah.
From Lucas North, 1337. Does having a corny origin fantasy story help us get in the Twitch League? Someone explain an origin story to Adam, please. I like funny origin stories. I don't know if it's going to help you get in the league. That's up to Shraggy B. But go ahead. Fire away.
Yeah, we'll say yes. I don't know why Adam wouldn't know what an origin story is, but sure.
It's one of those things where I feel like I know it, but I don't want anyone to ask me. So let's just move on to the next question. JDog17. Do you guys do Superflex live mocks? I'd love to see one. Jamie?
We do. We did one this past week. Or last week. I'm sorry. We did a Superflex mock. We didn't do it live. We could do another one if we.
Yeah, why not? Let's do one on
Do a
Twitch.
live one.
Yeah.
It's a good idea.
And Des
2 weeks from now, let's do it. Superflex in 2 weeks.
There you go. Des dropped at 24. If you're reading this, just know y'all get me through the day, and I finally see y'all faces. Well, thank you.
Sorry if we disappointed you.
Anthony, what's your origin story? How'd you get started with gaming?
With gaming?
Yeah.
It's actually kind of funny because my parents were very strict, and that was one of the things that was restricted. So as a child, naturally, you need to do that thing that you're not allowed to do. And I just fell in love with it. They were afraid that it was going to take away from like my academics and my desire to read books. Why can't I do both?
Were they
What's
right?
wrong with doing both? No, they weren't right. I actually read more than I play games now. It's probably because it's work. Like I'm not sure how often you guys go home after spending the entire day in the office going over football and being like, you know what, let's watch some more football. Maybe it's a little bit different, but it's like I need a getaway sometimes. So the escape of a book is great. But I've just always wanted to be an entertainer. So that's sort of how it turned into the whole doing this thing full time.
What was the game that influenced your, what was your Mike Tyson's Punch Out or whatever it might be? That game when you were young that just
Pokemon Yellow. On the Game Boy that was like as big as a cinder block, same color as one too.
Mm-hmm. I had that.
Yeah, that was the go-to. That and I had Killer Instinct. I don't think my parents knew what that was.
heard of that.
It's like Mortal Kombat, but on a Game Boy. It was not kid friendly, but they had no idea, which is great.
Oh man, for me, I'd say GoldenEye. Right? I know we have some GoldenEye love on this.
Oh yeah.
On this Twitch. Well, Heath and I love GoldenEye.
Well,
I
you
love
certainly
it on-
wouldn't say,
GoldenEye and Perfect Dark for me.
Adam, you certainly wouldn't say Tecmo Super Bowl because you just talk a big game but then duck me on.
I beat you. I played you one time in Tecmo Super Bowl. I shut you out.
We didn't play anything.
This
The thing
controller
didn't work.
was not good. Yeah, it didn't work, and I beat him like 8-0. I think I got a 2-point conversion.
I couldn't move.
Yeah, what's the
Adam scored it. Adam got a safety and then a touchdown and then thought he won because I couldn't move.
what's the best sports game, Anthony? Best sports game ever?
Oh, man. Probably like the NFL Blitz games back in the day where it was just like the old XFL rules. It's like plays over, just go like spear the quarterback. Like, why not? Take out that frustration.
Very confident that I would beat Ben Gretchen Blitz.
Let's get it on, man. I played that a ton too.
Yeah, that was a fun game. For sure.
That or what was it? Hang Time, the NBA game on or Super Nintendo, where it's just 2v2.
NBA
Jam.
Yeah, that's it.
Oh
NBA
yeah,
Jam.
he's heating up. Hey, Michelle, let me ask you. I just took James Washington. I'd love to get your thoughts. You took Deontay Johnson like 8 rounds ago. Or what? Is there that big of a gap between those two?
Nope. And seeing you take Washington this late makes me regret my Deontay pick. And this is why I'm not picking actually Deontay Johnson in most leagues. I just wanted to take him over Tyler Boyd just for the fun of it. But Washington is the much, much better value. I think he's going to be the deep threat for Ben this year. They used him incorrectly the rookie year. He was like used as like a short intermediate guy. That's not his strengths. They started to use him to his strengths last year. And he was fantastic. He was actually really, really good for fantasy in the second half of the year as well. I think Ben's going to target him like crazy deep. And I think he's going to be much better than people are expecting for fantasy.
That's what I expected from him last year, but then Ben got hurt.
Right. And he led the team in receiving. We got a couple of comparison questions from Max. Golfer Ryan and Cupper Woods.
Ryan and Cup for me.
Ryan.
Woods and PPR for me, and Ryan.
Yeah, I'm Cup. One spot ahead of Woods too.
Hey guys, can you let me take Noah Fant? I really want Noah Fant.
I mean, why'd you wait this long? You should have went a long time ago.
You want him so bad, you wouldn't take him in round 13?
I had to take James Washington.
No, you didn't.
Yeah.
I need more wide receivers. I don't like. Do you guys like Hawkinson better than? Does anybody like Hawkinson better than Fant?
Yeah.
Yes.
No, if they throw it to him.
Yeah.
But Locke was not throwing it to Fant like at all. He had like 1 target and 2 targets, and if Fant brought it to the house, that's great. But if he didn't, he had like 1 yard. Like he literally, I think, had 2 games where it was like 1 reception for 5 yards and 1 reception for like 14 yards or something like that. I'm off. I don't have it in front of me, but Locke was not passing it to Fant.
No, the reason I like Fant better, I like the addition of Pat Shurmur for tight ends because he's a former tight end coach. When Kyle Rudolph had his breakout season in Minnesota, that was with Shurmur being promoted from tight ends coach to the offense coordinator. We saw last year with the Giants, whether it was Evan Ingram or Caden Smith, that position was really good for that offense, and I think he's going to be the guy that sort of unlocks that potential of Fant, who I think is a better pass catcher than Hawkinson. Hawkinson's more of a complete tight end, but they're both kind of the same. You're hoping for that second year breakout that we see. They're both not the primary guy in their. Michelle, you're about to get auto pick, so just make sure you make a pick.
Oh, sorry.
You're okay. But yeah, I think they're both kind of the same. Like you're hoping as opposed to knowing, and so we'll see. We'll see how both those guys do. But there's a lot to like.
Yeah,
both of them.
I said on the tight end preview that Noah Fant's rookie year stats are almost identical to Rob Gronkowski's and George Kittle's. So I don't really see how he doesn't become those guys.
Yeah, no, it's a good point. Everyone who's ever had similar stats.
It's only been 3. He's the 3rd guy ever to be in that 550 and 2 or 3 touchdown range. You'd be shocked. No, but the point is, rookie year stats don't matter all that much for tight ends.
There's just not been a lot of rookie year breakouts, frankly. But I think it is a pretty good indicator of the few that we've seen.
Like Evan Ingram, right? Evan Ingram had a really good rookie season.
Yeah. The concern for me is I've said this, but I don't know why they didn't address the backup quarterback position, because we don't really know that Drew Lock is that great. We're hoping that he's good and he could be good, but if he's bad, they have to go to Jeff Driscoll to try to support Cortland Sutton and Jerry Jeudy and KJ Hamler and Noah Fant, and that's just that could be a bad offense.
Though, is Driscoll that bad?
Isn't he top 12 in points per game?
I know
he was a scrambler. He's a scrambler. He's mobile. He's not going to be great for passing. I don't think.
We've been doing this on CBS Sports HQ. Basically a preview a day. Talking about the win totals and different stuff about the team. So we had the Broncos today, as a matter of fact, and Pete Prisco and Danny Cannell were on with me. And Pete says he could see 28 touchdowns for Drew Lock, and I was like, "Whoa, that'd be a huge leap." Given what I think how this offense is going to operate, I still think they're going to be, probably more run heavy than not with the 2 backs that they have. But I mean, if those 2 young receivers take a step forward this year, then this offense could be special because they didn't have a lot of speed last year. Sutton is a good number 1 guy. I don't know if he's a great number 1 guy. Jeudy can push him for that role, but if Jeudy and Hamler can make a lot of plays early, and then Fant does take that second year leap, it could be a really fun passing attack.
Going to read a few more questions here before we wrap things up. Jake from State Farm. Who do you guys think? What do you guys think about Juju Smith-Schuster's dynasty value? Michelle, I'll let you have that one.
I don't love it. I didn't love what I saw from Juju last year. I love him so much, and I know he was hurt. He had his toe injury, I think, in week 1. So that kind of hurt him. And then he had this knee and a concussion. He didn't have Ben, but he needs to have a quarterback that's willing to throw to him when he doesn't look open, because he's a very good contested catch guy, but he's not a great separator. So I think that's what's the difference between having a Ben or having a Mason or a Duck Hodges throwing to them. They wouldn't pass the ball to a wide receiver unless they're wide open. So that was the issue with Juju. With Ben back, he'll be fine. But if he goes to a new team that doesn't have a quarterback that will just chuck it up to him, I'm very worried about his dynasty value.
So if he stays in Pittsburgh and is with Roethlisberger, it'll be okay with him?
Yeah, but how much longer does Ben last? I don't know. Like, I feel like if could be his last hurrah. If they go all the way, they win the Super Bowl. That's my dream, right? Then why would Ben stay? Just retire.
From DStyle02 on my fantasy football site, Antonio Gibson is listed as a wide receiver. Where would you rank him as a wide receiver?
Oof.
Probably in the same area where we're taking him now. Round
50s.
9, round 10.
Lower than that for me.
No, I'd go lower at receiver personally.
I went with the actual good Washington running back that has potential besides AP with Bryce Love.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
A lot later than Antonio Gibson.
He's
gonna be fun.
interesting.
He's gonna be fun if he's
interesting.
healthy.
He's the better running back. I don't know if he's the better,
Well, we don't. Yeah,
Over
he's super
Gibson,
fun. We
yeah.
don't know how healthy he is. There hasn't
Yeah.
really been much. I've been checking on him all offseason. Yeah,
He's
I'm
cleared-
totally with you.
He's cleared to play. He cleared his physical, but
Well, that's good.
yeah.
But they got Peyton Barber though, so why would they play him?
From Daddy Sid, who has a better record this year, the Browns or the Bengals?
The
Oh,
Browns for sure.
I think Cleveland.
Yeah.
Yeah.
God, I hope.
What do you have, bounce back this year? Okay, well, actually, take us through the roller coaster of how excited you were before 2019 and then watching it all unfold, like the emotions of being a Browns fan last year.
I mean, it was still better than the 0-16 season. I can't act like it wasn't. Baker's regression was really, really tough to watch. And I don't know if that's necessarily completely his fault, whether it was Kitchen's utter just uselessness, cluelessness. But I mean, still, he's not the one out there throwing the ball and making those reads. So some of the responsibility still has to fall on Baker, but I hope it's only up from here. I don't want to see another, was it 20 plus picks last year or close to? It was too many. It was too
21.
many. With the amount of weapons they have on offense, I don't think he should be having that issue. I know people might say it's either the rookie regression or that it was overhyped, or they might want to bring up the height issue again. I don't know. He's mobile enough to get some
I think
vision.
we could just blame it all on Kitchens and move on, right? Let's
That's
just do that.
that's what the Browns have done for the last 20 years. That's why we're on our 373rd head coach.
Yeah. It's not always the coach, I guess, but hopefully they got it figured out. What a stat that I don't put that much stock in, but I do think is funny. And
Ugh, I got to hold my nose. Hold on. I got to hold my nose for this pick.
Nick, what happened? Oh, the Sean McCoy. Anthony, Nick Chubb had, I think it was 15 carries for negative 14 yards inside the 5-yard line. He was the
It's
worst.
the stupidest stat that you have.
He was the worst running back in football inside the 5-yard line. Does that matter at all to you? Did you notice anything? Like, gosh, he really stinks in these situations.
Honestly, at that point in the season, are we talking about like when it was like 4th and 1 and they had 7 attempts or something? I wasn't even watching at that point. I was just watching other games for the sake of fantasy.
Good for you.
That's pretty pathetic, though. I mean,
it was bad, odd, very odd.
I don't know how that happens. I really don't. That's regardless of how good your defense is. The O-line just got to be able to push a guy 3 feet, right?
You would think so. Look, you can't gain a lot of yards on your carries inside the 5-yard line, obviously, but he was the worst. And
You should be able to gain some, not lose them all.
Right.
Jamie doesn't like when I bring it up, so
I don't either.
It's one of those weird stats that flashes up on the lower third of the screen in the middle of the third quarter when it's a blowout. Like Tom Brady threw 16 touchdowns when it was 13 degrees outside on a Thursday. Like,
Yeah.
who puts these together?
Talk to CBS about getting Azer stats on the ticker.
yeah, I don't.
No, Jamie, we want to have people watch the programming.
I think they would
week-
watch. They'd be like, "What the bleep is that stupidity?"
In week 16, he rushed 3 times inside the 10 for negative 8 yards against the Ravens. That's a big bulk of it.
It is a big bulk of it.
I'm looking at
And
his
that means he
inside the
was
10
10 for 13 otherwise.
Yeah, he was great other than that one game.
That's
I
awesome.
actually tweeted a stat the other day. It's a baseball stat, but who the hell keeps track of this? The Orioles beat the Nationals 11-0. And here's the stat. It was the biggest margin of victory in a shutout win by a team coming off a 100-loss season against a reigning World Series champion in baseball history. Like, that is the
That's
Someone
the
gets
longest stat
paid
I've
for
ever
these.
That's what stats. That's what they do. All right, we're wrapping it up here. Anthony, how you feel about your team?
I in a league where I actually spend money to play, I wouldn't have taken Patrick Mahomes as early as I did. I would have rather found him a little bit more depth at the wide receiver position, but it's just for fun. It's crazy. I'm still happy with my first 3 picks. I mean, that's outrageous. But
Well, how do you like it now that you did it?
now that I've done it, I mean, there's no going back. So I absolutely love my decisions. I stand by everything. No, I probably would have settled for taking someone more like a Breeze in a later round and going for a stronger wide receiver too. But I still really think Landry's going to pull a lot of looks and hopefully quite a few receptions as long as people are focusing on Beckham and Hooper. And if Hunt's on the field, you got to put a linebacker there. So hopefully that pulls a little bit of open field in the middle for Landry to perform. But the Browns, they'll find a way to mess it up. They do every year.
Michelle, I'm going to give you our last question from the Twitch audience from Neb0774. Standard scoring league, keep 2. Dalvin Cook, Michael Thomas, Devontae Adams in standard scoring.
Oh, man. I think I might just go with Michael Thomas and Devontae Adams. In standard, Dalvin Cook is fantastic, but we've seen him have very big injury issues. And even last year, people act like he was completely healthy, but he did really struggle at the end of last year with that shoulder injury. He missed some time during the fantasy playoffs. Oh, I don't know. I love running back so much. If anything, it would be Michael Thomas and Cook, but it would be really hard not to keep Adams in the standard league.
All right. I think we're Schrager. We done? All set?
Ben left already.
Yeah, let's call it a day.
done.
All right. Yeah.
I
Ben.
fell asleep, so it's time to go.
Cool. Time for a little Ben Schrager to go to bed. Everybody, thank you so much for tuning in on Twitch tonight. I hope it was fun and helpful for you. Anthony, thank you very much for coming on.
Absolutely. Thanks again for having me. It's been a lot of fun.
That's the Big Jiggly Panda at Big Jiggly Panda on Twitter. Michelle Magdziuk at BallBlast them on the BallBlast podcast on the Ross Tucker Podcast Network. Michelle, a lot of great insight. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I had a blast.
Thank you, everybody, for tuning in once again. For Ben, for Dave, for Jamie, for Ben Schrager, for Jamie Mazowska setting this up. I'm Adam Azer. We'll talk to you next week on Twitch. See you then.
Want more of the Fantasy Football Today podcast and nonstop year-round fantasy advice? It's simple. Hit the subscribe button and hang with us all throughout the year.